Hey everybody, it's Kayla in the garden, and today it is sweet potato harvest day. Hey guys, it's October. That means it's harvest time. Last night was a whopping 34 degrees, which kind of tells me it is time to dig up the sweet potatoes because they do not like frost. And so, any excuse to still be able to be out in the garden and put my helpers to good use. They're busy digging up some sweet potatoes still. And I want to go over 5 things that I kind of picked up this year from growing sweet potatoes kind of accidentally. So here we go. So thing number 1, if you've never grown sweet potatoes before and you start looking into it, you're going to start hearing about sweet potato slips, okay, S-L-I-P-S. What is that? That baffled me for quite a while. So if you take a sweet potato, and my gosh, isn't this huge? And you put it into a warm, dark place in your kitchen, because if you're like me, you forget you buy them. And you go and find them 3 or 4 weeks later, they've got little sprouts. Those little sprouts are your slips. So if you ignore it a little bit longer, and suddenly you've got little growing things up to like here, and then you break it off the sweet potato, and then root it in some water, and then from there you take it into some potting soil until it's got some substance to it, okay? And then you go and plant it outside. That right there is the quickest, easiest way to start sweet potatoes. Couple things to keep in mind. Start earlier than you think you might. Probably, for me, I'm probably going to do it beginning of February. It does take a little while. And buy organic sweet potatoes at the grocery store when you plan to do this, okay? And have some fun. There's different varieties of sweet potatoes that you could try out. All right, thing number 2, sweet potatoes like it hot, okay? So what that means is raised bed and black plastic sides is going to be your best bet to get an amazing harvest like this. So what that means, we got gifted the raised bed that I'm sitting on here from a neighbor. He was getting ready to get rid of it, and we're like, hey, we'll take it and put it to some good use. If you don't have a neighbor like that, and I have no idea what to even call this to have you go search for it, if you go to a local nursery, they might have a spot somewhere in their nursery where they do like a pot recycling thing. You bring your old pots that you just planted all your plants, dump them off, or go and take what you need. Sometimes we find big containers that trees are in, bushes were in, put it in. And they come 10-gallon size, 20-gallon size, but then you could contain your sweet potatoes better. I've even seen big round metal like troughs. Okay, people use that as well, and that's a great way of getting the growing environment for your sweet potatoes hot. Okay, so thing number 3, I want to educate you on how sweet potatoes grow. Okay, keep in mind they like it hot. So this is where I planted the original. Ooh, wow, thank you. The original slip. Okay, I probably planted in beginning of May. But they, just right where you plant it, they start growing everything, okay? But they're also a vine. Okay, what else have you got? My goodness, it's like harvest season. Sweet potatoes are a vining plant. So they also grow like this, all right? You can see them just hanging off, kind of like little French fries hanging off the vine. So why does this matter, okay? My thinking and what we discovered in this bed is probably 20 feet long. When we started digging it up right where we planted the sweet potato slips, we found lots. But then we started following the vines. The vines root, obviously, here. And we have found plenty of big, dinner time worthy sweet potatoes the further down we went from where we planted. So what that tells me is that I want to train my vines to stay in the garden bed and continue to put down roots instead of kind of sprawling and letting them go wherever they happen to go. So keep that part in mind, okay? So number 4, these are the changes I'm going to make for next year, okay? I'm going to use this bed. I'm probably going to plant a lot more sweet potato slips next year. I'm going to plant them sooner. So that means I'll start my slips maybe end of January, beginning of February to give them a long enough time to become viable plants to be transplanted. Now, being in Kansas City, people like to say you don't plant outside until Mother's Day. My plan is, because they're going into a black plastic raised bed, I'm going to cover it up with greenhouse plastic. I'll probably plant them beginning of April. Okay, so I'm going to get an extra month, month and a half, and I'm going to continue. Like right now, my goal for next year then is to cover it in greenhouse plastic again at the end of season and see how long I can push it, because I want these little guys here to be viable dinner. Okay, right now this is not even an appetizer. So we're going to try and extend that season on both ends using greenhouse plastic and my big cover that I've got for this sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to try next year. Okay, the last thing I learned this year about sweet potatoes, this one surprised me. Leaves are edible as well. I had no idea. Apparently you can pull off the young leaves. Okay, you definitely don't want the big raggedy ones that have been around for a while. But pull off the young leaves. You can pop them into stir fries, I've read. Probably chop them up, put them into soups and stews and things like that. I probably, when we do this next year, I will probably start harvesting the leaves in mid-spring to late spring and into early summer. I'm guessing, and I'll learn this next year as I try it out, but the leaves will probably, if they're anything like other greens and things like that, they get bitter with the summer heat. So we'll see, but you know, how cool are sweet potatoes? They're so neat, and the frost definitely impacts them. So we didn't actually get frost last night. It only got down to about 35, but yeah, they're done. So yay us, we've got sweet potatoes to enjoy now. Next up, you have to cure your sweet potatoes as well. But I need to go research that myself because I don't know what we're going to do yet. So more on sweet potatoes later.